I'm thinking about you mentioned the sentence and the turn of the line, and in another interview, a couple, you mentioned your love of the sentence.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm curious about, like, how does that manifest in the sense of, like, what is it that's attractive to you about sentence and syntax, and certainly how it plays out in the context of poetry and also just outside of poetry? I'm curious. What does it mean to be a lover of sentences in the world?
I mean, I think if you don't love sentences, you can't be a writer. I mean, it's just, I'm always suspicious. Like when I see someone who comes into a workshop and like week after week, their work is in fragments, like I'm like, you're hiding something. Like what, like, who are you? Like if you don't love the sentence and you can't think through syntax in some way, something's wrong. Like you can, truncated language, fragments. I mean, there's a place for all of that as well, and it can work. But you can tell when someone really understands syntax and they're using fragments and truncated language, and when someone is using it because they don't have a handle on the syntax. And the thing about it is that I don't know how someone's mind can turn and really evolve their in an opinion of something without a handle on syntax. Like if you're when you start thinking about complex issues, in my mind, I hear those opinions forming through sentences, and when I'm reading someone, if I'm reading, even if it's fiction, I'm very attracted to the way in which that person uses the sentence. So one of the first things I was attracted to in the reading of Toni Morrison was her syntax. I feel the same way about reading Baldwin, right? If you read a Yusuf Komunyakaa poem, and you're not swept up in the sentence of that, a Carl Phillips poem, and the grammar and the way in which he's using the sentence. I mean, these people, Marilyn Nelson. I mean, like folks who can use the sentence, use it in different forms, use it in free verse, use it for different subjects, and it always feels like fresh language. It's like a bottomless reservoir of ideas. And so I liken it to a musician, like a jazz musician, and they're improvising, right? So you can tell when you listen to a musician who really has a handle on their modes, who has a handle on scales, has a handle on arpeggios, because it's through those modes and those arpeggios and those scales, those chord progressions, that they're thinking. And you can see the ideas, you hear them as they're being moved around and innovated upon. It's the same thing with the syntax. So I don't know how someone can write a poem without really having a handle on syntax.
Fair enough.